Good morning. JoAn Vaughan. I'm a member of this fellowship and also the Social Action Committee. Racial and economic justice is one of the 3 priorities of the Social Action Committee. One way that the Social Action Committee seeks racial and economic justice is through participation in Faith in Action Bay Area. This is a multi-faith, multicultural, multi-class organization. It operates on the basic principle that those closest to the problem should be the most involved in the solution. Therefore, local leaders prioritize issues and decide on their preferred course of action. Those of us with more privilege follow their lead and help where we can. In our Latino community, the cost and quality of rental housing is especially concerning. So providing safe and affordable housing is now the major focus of Faith in Action Bay Area in our community. Many families are having to move from our community because they can no longer pay the rent or find that safe and healthy and stable housing that is here. So to maintain a multicultural, inclusive, and stable community, we must address this issue. Many people in our congregation have supported these efforts through speaking at the Redwood City Council, attending housing rallies, canvassing neighborhoods to provide information, and providing financial support. Well, despite a setback for not getting the fair and affordable housing ordinance on the Redwood City November ballot, Faith in Action in the Bay Area is continuing its efforts to seek fair and affordable housing here. So let's continue to support these efforts as we strive for racial and economic justice in our community. Thank you.
Hey, Debbie Mytels is not here to do the responsive reading. She had to pick her son up earlier than expected today. So I'm going to lead the reading, and the way it works is that I will read the bold text, and you will respond with the italic. So here we go. What? Is it up there? Okay. At UUFRC, we are a green sanctuary. We participate in the city's recycling and compost programs. We have a native plant garden that displays each season's natural beauty.
We grow these plants to save water and attract native pollinators and insects.
We use washable dishes, cups, mugs, and utensils.
We understand that wash water flows into the bay and continues as part of the Earth's water cycle.
We use cloth napkins rather than disposable ones.
We save paper, which comes from trees that absorb carbon dioxide and give us the oxygen we need to breathe.
We have low-flow toilets.
We save water and produce the fresh water that is sent into the saltwater habitat that turns to distillate.
We have pledged not to buy single-use plastic water bottles.
We stop creating plastic trash that defiles natural habitats, poisons fish, and impacts living creatures.
We have installed energy-efficient light bulbs.
We save energy to reduce carbon pollution from burning fossil fuels that are changing Earth's climate.
We have solar panels on our roof, and we purchase 100% renewable electricity from Peninsula Clean Energy.
We reduce our carbon footprint and provide funds to expand renewable energy in our region.
We support new laws that encourage clean and renewable energy.
We know that burning fossil fuels creates melting glaciers and snow rocks that affect us here in San Mateo County, as well as around the world.
We purchase non-toxic cleaning products.
We
We support the needs of our low-income and immigrant neighbors. At UUFRC, we are a green sanctuary. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Nancy Goodban. I wanted to share about a couple of efforts where our congregation is very deeply involved. One is Fix in San Mateo County to set up independent civilian oversight of the sheriff. The other is In Our Care to support young people involved in the legal system. Quite a few of us are involved in one or both of these efforts, and it's really a way to be in community together, living our values. Most of us came into these efforts because of racial injustice. People of color here are disproportionately jailed, and children of color are sent to juvenile hall. There are no white kids in juvenile hall in San Mateo County. Did you hear that? There are no white kids in juvenile hall in San Mateo County. There never are. Maybe one every once in a while. And more than 3/4 of the people booked into the local jail are people of color. Black people in our county are 9 times more likely to be arrested than white people, and Hispanic people twice as likely. And those are just statistics, but they affect the lives of our families, our friends, our neighbors, and community. So that's why we got into this. Let me talk about Fixin' first, a way to try to make the community safer for all. If you're new here, the congregation did vote at a congregational meeting to endorse Fixin' San Mateo County in the effort for civilian oversight. Kaye, Bonney, and I were there at the very beginning when we first started Fixin', and there was a couple of big reasons. One was our sheriff at the time, our last sheriff, was one of the only sheriffs that still turned people over to ICE immigration when they were done serving their sentence in jail, whereas the rest of the people just get to go home when they're done with their sentence. The second is sheriff deputies had killed Chinadu Akobi with tasers. Community protests were ignored, and nothing had really changed. So we felt we had hit a brick wall. A group of us set out to establish civilian oversight, and after 2.5 years, last December, the Board of Supervisors did take a historic first step and set up an advisory commission, which met last month, which is really cool. There's still a lot to do to make it effective. We need everyone's help, but we keep at it. Raise your hand if you volunteered or attended a Fixin' event. Yeah, a fair number. Thank you. The second effort for a safer community is In Our Care, which Becca Keeler co-founded last year. It's a community group to help kids involved in the legal system, and we're currently focused on 2 issues. The first is just improving conditions at juvenile hall, so it's rehabilitative, not just a cage and a cell. Food, schooling, treatment programs. Becca and other people here, including here, have collected books and toiletries and clothes and given them to the kids who are locked up. And second, asking the DA, district attorney, to stop charging kids as adults. This means if they're convicted, they would serve their sentence in an adult prison, not juvenile hall. If they're charged as an adult, their jail is an adult prison. Last year, the DA tried to charge 3 kids as adults. He lost on all 3 of them. The judge overturned his request, but he will keep trying. It's bad science. Everyone knows young people's brains aren't fully mature until later, and adult prison results in more recidivism and less rehabilitation. So a lot of us went and sat in the courtroom to show the judge and the district attorney that the community was paying attention. And I know the judge noticed. She noticed and she recognized people who were repeated there. And we sent out Becca's opinion piece last week in our email because she got something published in the local newspaper. So raise your hand if you've sat or donated or sat in the courtroom to help out the kids. Again, a fair number of us. So again, just why do we do it? We're living our values together to try to make this community safer for everyone, not just for those of us who are privileged. Thank you.
I follow research and messages that encourage people to support our values and not fall prey to those who try to divide us by skin color, gender, or beliefs for their gain. I've learned that democracy is abstract. It's a process. Voting to protect democracy does not resonate with many people. Freedom, however, motivates, and we must embrace it if we are to dismantle all forms of systemic oppression, to quote the new Article 2. Most value the freedom to express themselves, the freedom to elect their representatives, the freedom to love and marry who they want, reproductive freedom, freedom from fear, freedom from want, and freedom of belief. The message that we all have the right to freedom resonates. Voting is essential to our rights. How many people here are regular voters? Yeah, that's what I thought. I'm preaching to the choir. But when a massive choir sings, it makes a monumental sound. So I'm retired and I do a lot of political organizing. I listened to the entire Biden-Trump debate, which seems so long ago now. At the end, I was frustrated, I was sad, I was depressed. After 20 minutes of mourning, I decided I could either collapse in despair or boost my spirits by pushing beyond my comfort level. So my spouse, Maeve, and I decided to make significant donations to 4 effective political grassroots organizations. Contributions beyond anything we'd done before. Then I vowed to raise money for those groups through one-on-one conversations with friends and family. I spoke with people directly. I told them about the debate and my decision to do something hard, which was ask them to make incredibly important, which was to ask them to make a significant donation, and I was specific about the amount. Because money, sadly, is incredibly important in elections. So far, people have contributed $28,000. I feel good because I've taken action, and the support's been incredible. Action is the antidote to anxiety. We believe in freedom. It's inherent in our faith. The path to protecting and expanding our rights lies in turning out massive numbers of voters. If we want more people to vote, we must ensure that they understand the impact elected officials, locally and nationally, have on their lives, perhaps by making decisions on school boards or city councils, or by enacting laws that provide access to health care, expand reproductive freedom, reduce gun violence, or protect our environment. We need to be sure voters know how to cast ballots and they have a plan to vote. I do my best to avoid rejection. You can imagine my high school dating life. I think many of us get nervous at the thought of calling strangers or knocking on doors to have conversations about voting, yet thousands of volunteers do just that and find that the experience nourishes them. The past 7 years have seen an amazing nationwide grassroots movement develop, and the past weeks have been incredible. It's an historic moment, and we've been gifted the opportunity to bend our future toward justice. I agree with Simon Rosenberg, who says, "I believe deeply that joy and hope are more powerful than hate and fear. We need to be loud and proud and work harder than we've ever worked on anything to expand the right of every human to flourish with love, dignity, and compassion. Now is the time to push ourselves by joining phone banks or canvassing teams and having vital conversations. Early voting starts in 6 weeks in some states, and it's incumbent on us to engage in conversations. That's how we use the power of voting to realize our freedoms." So I'll be out in the social hall after the service, and I'm happy to help you find ways to engage.